My name is Dyer's Eve, and I skate with the Holy Rollers, and I'm here to show you a few stretches that I like to do whenever I'm skating. I usually like to do a little bit of a skate warm-up before I stretch, but you know, choose your own adventure. If you want to do a nice solid stretch before you get on the track or skate park or the veloway or whatever it is that you're doing, these are some great basic stretches for you. I do have some experience as a yoga instructor as well as a skater with Texas roller derby for 7 years. So I always encourage people to check out yoga if they're able to. There's lots of online resources out there for your use. So with or without a mat, you can do a lot of this stuff in your skates or off of your skates. We like to do hip openers, of course, because we do a lot of hip motion in our skating, especially if you're working on like a spread eagle type move or the smarty feet where you're working side to side. You definitely want to make sure that those hip flexors are nice and open. So I'm just gonna get to the floor and show you a couple of things that I like to do. So first thing, you can have a yoga mat or not. I brought my guy here with me to demo, but that's mostly just if your back's bothering you, you want a little bit extra support, you can place a yoga mat behind you. So a couple of basic stretches that I like to do is to place one leg, one knee bent on the ground and just kind of spread nice and wide and kind of move back and forth into that right hip. And always try to keep your chest forward and straight ahead when you're doing any of these stretches so that you're not crumbling into a stretch like this. You always want to have a nice proud open chest. So think about that in your stretching. So you can do this with all 4 skate wheels flat, or you can point the toe up in your skate or your foot if you're doing it without skates. So you can even just kind of roll in and out of this a little bit to get that opened up. Do that for a few motions, and then you can switch over to the other side just to make sure that they're balanced. Just like that. Open up those hips. Proud chest, always straight forward, and then you can always go up on your toe like that to deepen that stretch. And another stretch that we do a lot here is the Froggy Stretch, where you're just opening nice and wide. And what I like to do here is just kind of feel out my hips, see if one side is a little bit more tender than the other. So that might show that I have opportunity on one side versus the other. So here you can kind of sit high in this stretch, or if you want to come down to your elbows and your forearms to get a little bit deeper. So don't feel self-conscious down here waving your butt around. It's just for you. It's good for your body. So even if you're out there in public, it's all about you, right? So stretch that body out. So do each of these for really however long you feel like you need to. Maybe 5 to 10 rounds of breath, depending on how much work you want to put in. Another stretch you can do is just kind of a wide-legged squat, which looks something like this. And it's kind of that same motion that you were working on when you were using each individual leg. You're just kind of trying to feel out that hip or those hips, just kind of moving side to side. And remember, proud chest, try not to hunch forward. We always want to have our chest nice and proud. Maybe it helps to put your arms together in like a prayer hands or even behind your back, just depending on what's comfortable for you. So same thing here, try to keep your breath actively moving with your motion. And if you're feeling a little extra playful and you're feeling nice and wide open and you're familiar with this pose, you might even go into a little bit of a crow pose where you would place your knees on the backs of your arms and maybe take flight, or not, just play around with it. It's yoga, it's roller derby, it's supposed to be fun. So the next thing will be some great back stretches for you. Okay, so for these next few stretches, I'm gonna do them on my yoga mat just because it'll give me a little bit extra support on my back. So a lot of you are probably familiar with a supine twist, so we're gonna do that first. And then we'll do a couple of things with this foam roller here that'll help open up the back as well. So basic supine twist, you're gonna just lay on your back nice and flat. We're gonna first start with our right leg, so we're gonna keep that bent and then bring it over the left side. Here I want to focus on keeping our right shoulder down and on the mat. So I like to actually keep my hand up like this. It just helps me know that I want to keep this down and that whole chain of my body open. And on this side, I like to place my left hand on that right thigh, just to kind of keep that cross action going. So this will really help open up the back body here, open up that spine. And then you can also take your gaze over to the right. If we were on the other side, you'd take your gaze over to the left. So here you're just gonna do this as long as you like. I like to lay here sometimes for a very long time, just kind of depending on how you feel. You can also extend that right leg to get kind of a deeper stretch in this lower part of your back. Nice deep stretch. So like I said, you can stay here as long as you like. And then what I like to do after that is keep my leg bent and then just hold it into my chest. Maybe even bring my head up to meet my knee, and then do a few ankle circles. That's good for you. We're gonna do some balancing stuff here in just a second, so that'll help with our balance. And then when you're done with that side, just bring that leg straight, and then we're gonna switch it over to the left. So same thing here, try to keep that left thigh as close to the ground as you can, maybe by using your hands to bring it a little closer, and keeping that left shoulder down, taking your gaze to the left if you like, really opening up that back side body, and even the hips that we already stretched. You'll feel all of that since it's all connected. And then like we did on the other side, if you want to extend that leg out a little deeper, feel free to do that. You'll even get a good hamstring stretch in this as well. So when you're done there, go ahead and bring that back in front and bring that left knee in. See if you can kind of bring your forehead to your knee and do some ankle circles. Great. So I also like to do just some spine rolls, I guess is the best way to put it. If you're familiar with yoga, oftentimes you'll kind of roll up and down your spine to come to a seating posture or other positions, but it also just feels really nice on your body to just kind of roll up and down. So if you don't have a foam roller, this is something that you can do just kind of on your own without it, and it's going to just give you a little bit of extra release in your back. So now I'll show you a couple of things that you can do on your stomach that are also really excellent for your back. So just come all the way flat, and if you're familiar with a cobra pose, you just place your hands, I like to do them a little bit wider, so they're usually outside of my mat, and then you're gonna press your toes into the mat so that your knees are lifted, and then you're just gonna kind of push up so that your chest and your head, your gaze is upward. Just a proud chest here, and this is another lower back opening exercise. So you can do that for a couple of breaths, come back down, and then maybe bring your hands in closer if you like. You can try that again. Awesome. So since you're already down here in this position, I really like to do this pose where you have your arms out wide, and then you're gonna take your left foot and go over the right leg and the right side body. And you can kind of press into the mat with your right shoulder here. Take your gaze upwards. And this is just another back opening stretch so that we're not, hunched over. That's really the purpose here, is to open up your back and your chest. And also, if you're not skating too much lately and you're doing a lot of office work, this is also stuff that will be really great for your back. I know I sit at a desk for 8 hours a day, so these types of stretches are really great for your body if you're not currently doing them. And then once you feel a little bit more open with that, you can kind of do these side to side, just one breath, one movement. And then this is actually really great for your shoulder. It'll kind of get any knots that you might have in that front part of your shoulder. So yeah, those are a couple of great stretches as well. And then like I mentioned, a foam roller is a great tool to have if you are able to use one. I know we have a few at our practice space here in the warehouse for when you're here skating solo. I like to get on my foam roller and just kind of pop around and see what feels weird. And if I find a spot that's a little tighter, then I might just sit on that spot for a little longer. I might go side to side with it, just kind of depending on what you're feeling. If there is a spot, I'll sometimes, maybe on this right side, I tend to have a knot there. I'll kind of sit on that for a little bit and kind of roll into it. Just be sure you're always evening yourself out. So even if this other side's not as sore, you still want to work it out a little bit. And then just kind of roll up and down the length of your spine. You can have one leg bent, both legs bent, just kind of depends on your experience level. And if you're not in wheels, it's a little bit easier, but we're in wheels today, so that was that. So now I want to do a couple of balancing exercises on your skates. I know Bad Habits did a great skate tutorial with single leg skating, so this is a great tool to help you with that and also to help you get low and just to focus on working on your balance. Okay, so this time around we're going to work on a couple of balancing poses that you can do in your skates or off your skates. And you can do these in one spot, or you can take them to the track, flat track, bank track, out at the skate park, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I think this is just kind of fun to like work with your footwork, because you're always going to have to catch yourself, because what we're going to be doing is all on one foot. So the first thing I like to do is just a figure four. So you want to sit a little bit low to prepare for this, and then you're going to pick up, well, I'll start on my right, so you're going to pick up your right, cross over your left, and then just focus on sitting as deeply as you can into this stretch. I know some of you may be familiar with doing this while skating, but you can always do it without skating, because it really helps you focus on your edges and your ankles and what they're doing within your skate. As you see, I like to always kind of keep my hands pressed together because it gives me like a focal point. And just remember, proud chest, shoulders back, chest out, and just hold it as long as you're able. It's going to give you a nice stretch in your quad, and you're going back to that hip opening exercise as well, and you're focusing on ankle strength. So it's kind of like bringing it all together. Same thing on the other side. You always want to start low. It's much harder to do this from up here. If you're new to it, especially there, you're not as controlled. So if you sit a little bit lower and then you place the leg, then I feel like you have a little bit more success. So same thing here, just try to sit as low as you can. Try to feel what's going on in your ankle and your foot, because your foot's going to be gripping your skate and your ankle's going to just be moving around in there, and it's just working all those little ankle muscles. This is a great exercise for ankle strength. Okay? So just hold those as long as you're able. If it becomes a little bit of a challenge, then keep going back into it. You know, if that's something that you want to keep working. Another stretch that I like to do on one foot, I like to grab the back of my skate. I'll go with the left side this time first. So sit a little bit low, just like we did previously, and then bend your left leg and reach for that back skate wheel. And then you're just going to try to pull that up as high as you can. And this is kind of like a modified dancer pose. It's a little hard, as you can see, but it's fun to kind of test your ankle strength and that flexibility. I can already feel my ankles burning from that. So then you're just going to go over to the other side. Remember, sit a little bit low, grab for that skate wheel, and then try to lift your leg up if you can. And then obviously I'm using my right arm to kind of give me this focal point up here. Proud chest, open and forward. And you can also do this when you're skating as well. But try to do it in a stable position. Just kind of play around with it and see how it goes. Another one that I like to do is, it's like a modified tree pose, because typically tree pose in skates, you can't really stick your wheels into your thigh. So I like to put the skate into my hip crease. So same thing here, you want to get a little bit low, reach across for those skate wheels, and kind of just place it a little bit higher than you would in that first stretch, kind of up here. And this is more of a standing position. You can always have your hand up here or at the center point as well. And then play around with that and then switch over to the other side. So you can have your hand here or in a raised position. It's your modified tree pose in skates. So yeah, those are a couple of great exercises to really kind of shock those ankles to like working individually of each other. So I highly recommend doing those if you're working on that type of footwork. So when you're done with all that, just, you know, raise your arms up, thank your body for doing something good for it and for putting 8 wheels on your feet and getting out there and skating, because you are a badass for doing so. Hope to see you back on the track sooner rather than later. I'll talk to you all soon.